this year, who both won awards at the Best of the Best Awards last night. And I will tell you, after this first, Jameson's going to come up and speak from our Greater New York chapter. And shortly after he held this event, he called, he emailed, he was so excited, and we finally were able to connect. And I wrote a Post-it note, and it's actually still sitting on my wall, Jameson, that said, Jameson Leadership Chapter Share Session, because it's so exciting to hear one of our legacy chapters step out of their comfort zone, try something new, and I'll leave it at that because Jameson can tell us what it's all about. So Jameson Salta, please, with the Greater New York chapter. The clicker. Julie, did you run off with the clicker? Yes, I'm sorry. There we go. I'll give you a microphone.
Thank you, Jenny, for that intro. I'm excited to talk to you all about an event we did in New York that was about training the revenue manager how to talk to the customer. No, I'm just joking. That was for you, Chris. The room felt a little. What I am going to talk to you about, an event we did in New York that we are very proud of for stepping out of the box, which we call here a collaborative networking experience, and talk a little bit about sort of how we got to, the thought process around this event, what we actually did, and more importantly, what were some of the outcomes. I'd like to also note this is not, we weren't given greater resources in New York to do this type of event. I know this event is being talked about elsewhere. So, as you listen, keep that, frame of reference or that lens on, because this is just about thinking differently. So, about a little more than a year ago at our 2018 retreat, we struggled with this discussion as a board and just talking about how do we drive more value for our members. And I know that that's something we're all probably continuing to talk about. Quickly after that, we went to the regional leadership conferences last year, held in a few different locations. And we took that sort of task at hand to how do we create more memorable experiences. So, of course, value, but let's start now at the event. How does the event drive an experience? And we know that that needs to be, front and center in everything we do. Well, then what do our members want? We have to ask them, right? How do we create the experience without knowing what's important to them? But more importantly, what do our members and attendees want? Okay? So as we look at the mix of people that attend our events and then the broader membership, we know that there's opportunity from the attendee side as well as the members that are coming. Okay? So as we asked our members and attendees, we used planning for an upcoming revenue management event as sort of the beta to do something different. So we asked our members and attendees what they were looking for. And what they came back to us through surveys and organic outreach was create a memorable development experience through network. And I'm sure that's something we all hear, that our members and attendees are looking for. We want development. We need development. That's why we come to HSMAI. But we want a network. How do we do both? How do we do both in the same environment? Okay? So that's what we were left with. Okay? And why that was important for us, it's going to grow membership, it's going to grow value, and it's what our members and attendees are asking for, right? And New York, we wanted to make sure we were seen as the leader. And we wanted to, be the first to continue to try something new and take this, to market, so to speak. The challenge, how do you step out of the norm? How do you just say, I'm not going to do the same thing because that's what we've done, right? That might be the easy way out, right? So how do we just try something new? And we actually specifically said revenue management because I know, like you all, revenue management for us tends to be the highest attended events in market. So where better than to try this in an area where we knew we had the most demand. So revenue management. And so the outcome. So we'll spend just a few minutes talking about the outcome of what we did, how it was different, how it was in line with what our members and attendees were asking, and hopefully, ways that you can take this idea back to your chapters. So the name of the event was, What's the Future of Revenue Management? We wanted to be very forward-looking. So what was revenue management going to look like in the future? And we titled it specifically a collaborative networking experience. We moved the event to an evening, and we tasked attendees to come solely prepared to speak and engage with one another. We didn't advertise speakers in that regards. So some pictures from the event, and what we did was, instead of having a speaker or a panel, we created a speed networking environment, an evening event with multiple tables in the room. Attendees were given a starting point at each table, and after a certain amount of time, every attendee rotated from table to table to talk about key revenue management issues. Some of the topics that are listed here that we found was relevant to our market: rise of the machine, the whole concept of automation, elevating your bench, which was around talent, make meeting space a star, which was around revenue management as it relates to meeting space, and of course next generation KPIs or metrics that we should be using. So all attendees went to each one of these tables for a discussion. Each respective table had a table facilitator, not a speaker, okay? This facilitator was tasked with sort of whiteboarding or just listening to the folks at each respective table, each go-round, okay? And again, moving constantly, right? Now, important to this was that networking piece, right? How do we keep the networking happening, right? Alcohol. Yeah. We know that's important. We're hospitality professionals. So we kept this front and center, and we didn't want to hide behind this. We wanted people to move throughout the room with the bar in the middle of the room. It kept people talking, it kept people engaged, it kept people long after the event, okay? And then I can't preface this enough, right? Collaboration was supported by location. Think about where we are here, right? And the ideas that it starts to generate, or the passion, the energy around HSMAI just being at a venue, right? So an event like this, we wanted to make sure it wasn't a normal run-of-the-mill ballroom for us. We wanted something that was very collaborative environment, very tech-savvy, AV-savvy. So think about that when you start to think about doing something sort of out of the box, okay? Some of the results, some of the feedback we received from this specific event, a different experience, right? People volunteering, new attendees that showed up volunteering to be on committees, so we got our committees grew in that regards. Love the new format, we heard, right? Truly the best event. But this last one that I really loved, that we got in a write-up, was the event succeeded as a direct response to what industry officials cited as a needed approach to education. Okay? So what's next? So we're planning our next sort of Think Different revenue management event next month. Okay? And we're taking one specific topic, and we're now going to go a little deeper on it. We're going to bring in someone from the outside, actually outside of the hospitality industry, specifically someone a little different to get us to think differently and get a little deeper as it relates to revenue management talent. Okay? We want to build on what worked. There were definitely things that worked, and there were things that didn't, and that's okay. And how do we fix those things that didn't and make them a little better this go around as we move people around with some new collaborative, engaging experience. And then we want there to be takeaways and tasks to go back to the properties to get the GMs aware on what is needed in this respective profession as we look in the future. Okay? And of course, the hospitality programs. So some key takeaways. First and foremost, listen to your members and attendees, find out what they want, and keep that front and center. Create a memorable experience. We know it's about the experience, right? And finally, don't be afraid to try something different. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you forgot a fourth one in there. I think you forgot a fourth one. Put the bar in the middle of the room, right?
That's right.
Thank you so much. Yep, we can take it right there. Wonderful. And our next chapter lightning round is another award-winning chapter, and it's our Central Florida chapter. So I think I'm inviting up Darlene and Michaela. Wonderful. And they are going to talk on communications marketing. Oh, Jeff's running it. And you have AP in the middle. IT.
I'm Darlene Dondal. I'm our immediate past president of the Central Florida chapter. And with me today is our current president, Ms. Michaela Winter. And you heard a little bit about our award for marketing and communication yesterday, because we were on stage. We're very proud of that. But we wanted to share some tips and things that we did in the past year. Still working. While we're waiting, if you want to jump onto your mobile phones to HSMAI Central Florida, we are live streaming our presentation today. We talked about that a little bit yesterday.
Very appropriate.
Yes.
Communications, marketing, social media.
Live streaming is new for Central Florida chapter. We started in January. So I'm sure we'll have plenty to tell you in our 2019 award submission. On Facebook, HSMAI Central Florida.
Not everybody's going to be able to see it. Okay. Not everybody's going to be able to see it. No.
I like how they're doing the videos of
Well, you have to like it. And also, all these people trying to bang this barrel broadband right now.
So we're live on Facebook right now, but we're waiting for our slides to jump in and catch up with us.
He has a meeting over one table person. So I'm sure
And the good thing we talked about moving forward, because we're starting the live stream this year, is talking about making it a member benefit and just allowing members to be able to view the content that we're live streaming.
I'll get started with some of the slides that we were talking about social media. So initially what we started was an aggressive Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter schedule for ourselves to collaborate with our email communication. So each month similar to what we talked about in other presentations, we started with our event date and worked backwards to make sure that we're not becoming that annoying spammer in somebody's inbox or on the same channel. So we try to vary the content, vary the subject lines, and change our messaging on each of the platforms. So we work together and work backwards from the event date to get back to the beginning of the month. So beginning of the month will be a little more kind of dropping in the hints. Put the date on your calendar, check your calendar. But as most of you are familiar with, we have a last-minute registration crowd in our midst. So probably the week before, when we need to turn in our accounts to the hotel, is when we turn in those last-minute, don't forget, don't miss out reminders. When we look at our Facebook invitations and LinkedIn messaging, we encourage our board to share that message. So as Lauren mentioned yesterday, the content in everybody's news feeds is primarily from their personal networks. So our HSMAI content may get missed in the mix. So our 12 board members each month will share content on Facebook and LinkedIn on their own pages to help increase our awareness and messaging. And in addition, on Facebook, they're asked to at least invite 5 of their friends in their personal contacts as well. So we're sharing that content, not just in their news feeds, that they will be at the event. It's a great opportunity to catch up with them, but invite somebody that the topic is probably more relevant to as well. Yes.
When it's being live streamed, does anyone get extra nervous? Does anyone get kind of nervous that they're being filmed and broadcast?
This is the obvious problem with streaming live.
The 2 speakers we've had so far, we're okay with it. As you see, it's just a camera on the front table. They were aware of it, but we didn't make it. Again, we haven't really started publicizing that we're doing it. We haven't fenced the audience view or anything like that. So it hasn't been a topic. I know we have it as an asterisk if it's more of a national speaker rather than a local speaker, to get their authorization, approval, kind of stuff like that, to share it, versus we're facing the camera to the speaker, not to the slides, to make sure that we're still giving relevant content to our audience that paid for it. So we're trying to still work through those things there.
We're not going to have the presentation on.
So additionally, on Facebook and LinkedIn, we took Jenny's challenge from the conference calls last year to follow all of you. So our entire board picked 2 to 3 chapters to follow to get some good ideas. We talked about don't reinvent the wheel, look at national articles that you all are posting. I know I'm getting every hospitality newsletter that I can get with articles, local, national. And we do have a VP of communication on our board, but we're all sending articles that sparked our interest that we clicked on for our VP of communications to share, again, in that schedule of not over spamming our event for the month. We are sharing HSMA Nationals events and articles as well from Insights. So we're not always doing local content, it's national as well, to make sure everybody gets an idea of the topics. We engage our attendees. So after last year's regional conference, we were with Peggy in the DC conference. We tasked our attendees to help us reshare. So once they start registering for the event, I will add them to the Facebook event so they can share and tell their friends that they're attending. We ask them as they register to become those ambassadors for the event to help us share the messaging there. Additionally, we took the comments from the membership conference call to engage on LinkedIn and at our meetings all of our new members. So we recognize their company and their name, so they like to see their name in print. We heard that earlier. So, and we tag that on LinkedIn as well. We can put together consistent branding across all of our platforms. So on Facebook, LinkedIn, we all have the same banner for our Central Florida chapter with that messaging. LinkedIn, a big change for us last year is we got away from the LinkedIn group that started getting very spammy with all of those people that started joining and spamming their messaging, and our content was getting lost. So we relaunched a LinkedIn business page, and to bring awareness, we took our captive audience at all of our luncheons and held contests. So we would post a photo at the event. Anybody that liked the photo and reshared the photo would get entered into a random.org drawing for a free luncheon for the following month. So we had great increase in our LinkedIn opportunities there, which helps us as we look at presenting sponsors with opportunity for a captive audience.
So then we went into Facebook, and the same thing was our consistent branding across all the platforms. Currently, we're at 1,672 active followers, which was up 101% across 10 countries. And currently, we have fans in over 20 countries. And we have an 80% response rate. So we try to keep up. A lot of our board members have access So we're constantly in there managing anything that comes through. Twitter and Instagram, same thing, consistent branding. Twitter, we're at 559, and Instagram, 159. And we try to keep the content relevant and the articles that we post. All the board members will send articles for different things going on in the market that we post on all the channels. And then with Star Chapter on our website, this is one I'm trying to even grow more this year. But we did have a 50% increase in unique visitors, 72% increase in hits, and we do post our full year calendar and announce our events 3 months in advance.
And I'll just step in here. So, in addition to posting our calendar for the full year, we also sent it to our Alphabet Soup competitors to tell them when our events are as well. So we're not intentionally competing on the same dates for events. So in December, we sent them our 2019 calendar. So we were out there first.
And then, unfortunately, on our next slide, we actually had one of our videos that we put together, which was our VP of Education with our speaker for the month. And then we also featured in the video the venue. So it's about a 60-second video that we promoted on Facebook and LinkedIn, and it helps create different content for our email blast to go out promoting the luncheon as well.
And on the videos, it takes some planning, so we try to get ahead of it. So Frank, as our VP of Education, has to go out and shoot the video with the current month's speaker so he can try to get ahead of it. Last year, when we were kind of starting this, we were inviting the next month's speaker to this month's luncheon, and also helping them get an idea of it. So it takes a little bit of planning for the timing and editing of the video, but it's a good way to introduce the speaker to your audience. And now this year we started adding that the DOS of our host hotel or venue could post a video. So again, we might have to go out there. We gave them opportunity if they wanted to give us B-roll or their stock photos to include in the video to highlight their venue.
Yeah, and for me, like this month, next week our luncheon's at my hotel. So they came out, we shot a video in the exterior. So for me, it adds more value to show. What? At the very end. Can you play the video?
No, I took the video off.
Just kidding.
Going with what Peggy said last year at the conference, creating that fear of missing out. Again, personal invitations that our board is sharing on their pages with the video, but our speaker is now inviting them in the video when they're recording that. So that personal invitation. We'll give a big shout out to Jeff, who takes on all of our graphic design for our luncheon communication. We tested out a few different things last year. Again, if we have our speaker chasing down headshots and bios to do that, but another month we hadn't found a speaker in the month, but we knew our topic was sports because that's what our market was asking for. And you see here in the middle, June, Future of Sports Tourism, we did list who our speaker was, and that was one of our, I think, second highest attendance. So we keep trying out different messaging, how specific we need to be. Do we highlight the company? Do we highlight the speaker as the subject matter expert? But a lot of the events that we're hosting are based on the survey results we're getting from our attendees for the topics they want to hear about. Our two special events for the year are our Chinese auction in late September, and again, Jeff does all of our graphic designs for that. For consistent messaging, this was our email blast, our Facebook banner, and we started putting this banner as well on all of the emails for previous luncheons as well to get that awareness, as well as we did, anybody that brought donations to the previous luncheons would get extra raffle tickets. And then in December, we do a joint holiday event with MPI, ABC, Aaliyah, NACE, and soon in 19 we have a new meeting planner organization that asked to join. So Jeff did all of this graphics for the joint event. We had about 275 attendees last December. The last picture was just a sponsor thank you for that event. But we appreciate your attention. Jeff will be around as well to answer any of our live stream questions as we continue to learn. Thank you so much.
Sorry for the